Hello, and welcome to the first edition of the Crypto Valley Association podcast. Exciting times ahead as we embark on this journey to discover the latest trends within this fast-moving industry and try to shed some light on the mysteries it contains. Today, we have Lance Morginn with us, president of Blockchain Intelligence Group, who will tell us what it's like to be the James Bond of crypto as we dive into this hidden world of blockchain forensics investigation. So Lance, tell us, what's going on behind cryptocurrency?
Well, thanks, Sheraz. Thanks for having me. And there's definitely a lot going on. Been in the space now for 5.5 years, and it began with providing insight to transactional information within different cryptocurrencies. And we started off recognizing that this space, from a data perspective, is growing every 10 minutes when referring to Bitcoin, and every 2 to 3 when referring to others, and even shorter time frames for some others. So we felt that search and analytics were a necessity, and in order to help bring cryptocurrencies mainstream, we needed to be able to give the tools to law enforcement to be able to do their traditional jobs in this new form of currency, be able to give confidence to regulators, to be able to understand and create policy, and to be able to give confidence to the financial industry that they can meet their regulatory requirements behind the licenses that they hold. And so when we first announced the ability to visualize or see transactions, law enforcement was our biggest respondent. And so this is where we built our product called Clue. Mm-hmm. And this is an engine that allows you to view transactions all the way back to the very first transaction in 2010. And from there, we provide attribution to entities and activities that exist within the crypto space. So be it a mixing website, be it transacting with the dark web, be it offering services that might be around child exploitation or terrorism financing. And so we provide insight and identify choke points that exist within this ecosystem that allow law enforcement to be able to go and subpoena the KYC information from that VASP, and therefore de-anonymize the pseudo-anonymous people. And we realize that having this ability allows to try to catch these nefarious actors and to try to empower the overall and remove sort of the initial negative assessment that people had around crypto. It's used by criminals, it's all for criminals. And the reality is that in the early days, that was the case. But as time went on, adoption and on-ramps are becoming easier, and people are becoming more aware about crypto, and therefore that percentage is decreasing over time. But it'll always be there. I mean, the biggest form of money laundering to date is still cash. Yes. And we at least try to progress the overall objective of what the initial idea from Satoshi was, and that is to offer further transparency around transactions. Now, the libertarians of the world will say that that's not the objective, and really it's just about having a decentralized money system. But the reality is that really it's to make sure that it's all stored in an immutable ledger that is open to everyone, for everyone to see. And so yes. Our skills is to be able to give visibility into that transactional system in an easier fashion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I really believe that these insights are ever more important, right, within growing industry, like the one we're in that is growing by the day, providing these insights just of fundamental use. And so, when you tell us a little bit more about what Blockchain Intelligence Group is currently doing, and what role you play within this growing industry.
Yeah, thank you. So as we progressed, we realized that we have the data to be able to deliver solutions for the financial industry. So we've risk scored a number of different cryptos that allow a financial organization to kind of like an Equifax or a TransUnion or Dun & Bradstreet would be another example, where you can submit an address or a transaction and get a risk score back with flags and entities attached to it to allow a compliance officer or anyone for that matter to be able to understand why it's scored at that level and determine if it's within their risk tolerance. So we, from that point, realized that the industry required education. And I stole the head of Homeland Security's illicit finance and proceeds of crime unit. So he was the supervisor, special agent in charge of all crypto and currency investigations in the U.S. government, and had traveled the globe, traveling foreign law enforcement agencies on how the U.S. performs cryptocurrency investigations. And then I also had Teresa, who's 25 years in the financial industry, closed down 1,500 banks in the 2008 meltdown. 16 billion was the largest bank she closed. And collectively, the two of them created our crypto investigator training program. And it is a self-paced educational system that allows people to get an understanding of the different types of cryptos, the ultra-private cryptocurrencies, the different types of wallets that exist, how the dark web operates, and then how the criminal element takes advantage of the anonymity that crypto can offer, and allow people to understand how they can investigate transactions so that they can realize the information that they need to be able to perform their job. So we've had some amazing successes. We've had JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley, Wells Fargo, some amazing organizations and members have gone through our training, and great feedback. And then we also have a forensics division, because there's certain times where agencies are overwhelmed, or they don't have the expertise, or law firms require a third-party unbiased review, or even VASP themselves have come to us to help them defend their side of what's transpired in lawsuits. And as a matter of fact, recently we are now recognized at the federal level as expert witness testimony providers. And we've done cases for the very first case in Hong Kong. It was 1,000 Bitcoin that were stolen. That's gone to trial. There was an ICO that went astray over in Germany that we helped provide evidence for. So it's been pretty interesting. And of course, a lot of individuals that have come to us that have had thefts, and they would like to help provide an evidence trail to law enforcement to try to go and recapture whatever funds might be left. And so we've definitely, the James Bond side of things definitely plays out there. And then lastly, we created a product or service that is really our way of giving back to the community, and it's called the Crypto Fusion Center. And this is a free service that allows people, everyone is vetted, both law enforcement and VASP. Obviously, law enforcement is a lot easier for us to vet, but we do make sure that everyone is vetted so that when people make submissions, they aren't just trying to blacklist some whale's wallet and therefore impede his ability to maybe do a trade and cause financial hardship. But this allows real-time notification of ransomware addresses, theft addresses, these kinds of things, where members then, if they receive notification and find out that this address is within their system, they can freeze those funds. And we try to catch these bad actors as early as possible to help the overall industry grow. So collectively, we are the most comprehensive suite of compliance services found globally. And we also are a publicly traded company, so we also have that transparency and accountability that offers further confidence to not only the banking industry, but law enforcement itself. So that's Blockchain Intelligence Group in a nutshell.
Okay, well, thank you, thank you for that. And you mentioned education, right, as a core point within what you're doing, and I think a lot of other companies and thought leaders within our industry are really pivoting to that educational side. So, do you have any maybe key elements of education that you might want to put forth to our audience, to our listeners here today? About blockchain forensics and maybe some key takeaways that they may be able to know or understand about this.
Well, I think in order for companies to embrace what blockchain and cryptocurrency has and the advantages behind it, and in order for them to be able to enter into this space, obviously education is needed. They need to be able to understand how they can accomplish their roles and their requirements within their organization, and how they can embrace it. And so, in order for them to be able to put forward to management suggestions around the opportunity of this area, they need to be able to really look under the hood, and that's what our educational material does offer.
Okay.
It is not really something that pushes our services. It really is a true in-depth understanding about the intricacies of how things work, and how from a regulatory aspect they can perform their jobs. And so we really do allow them, when they come out the other side, to be able to have the information that's necessary to be able to provide recommendations and show how they can integrate and interact with this new form of currency. And so, yeah, that's what we really offer.
Okay, yeah, awesome. And I think it's very important for every individual, not only within the blockchain space, but just out there that are technologically apt to understand these different parts, especially of, let's say, the deep web, the dark web as well, and to understand what is going on in the background, so they don't get maybe caught up by some of these illicit activities, and that they're aware of what's going on. So definitely, yeah, I think it's very, very important.
It's fascinating. I mean, until this career came along, I knew of the dark web, but I had never been on it, and yes. It's a whole nother world. I mean, we've been training officers that were in the child exploitation world, and we asked how many had been on the dark web, and only 10% had raised their hand. So, I think it comes down to budgets, but it's also the ability to access that without compromising their systems.
Yes.
And but you can't kind of turn a blind eye to where your targets are existing and interacting. I mean, it's a lot easier for a guy to sell drugs from his bedroom than it is on a street corner. And if you have an opioid problem, you have a crypto problem. And the cryptos help you track those things, because that's how they're making these sales. And so it is very, very interesting what happens on that side of things. And I'm thankful that I was exposed to it.
Oh yes, and I think crypto has really brought around, let's say, an evolution or in this type of activity, right? Where before maybe the drug dealer was hiding big wads of cash under their bed, and now it can all be on a little piece of paper in a code form, right? So if the level of education isn't there to understand that, this 20 odd digit code can actually contain millions of dollars within it, they might just disregard that evidence that could be very important to solving a case.
You hit the nail on the head. I mean, they pull a guy over and they see a QR code, and without this knowledge, they would have really no idea that might be holding $10 million of illicit funds. So,
crazy.
Yeah.
$10 million on a QR code. I think that's the one I need to scan next. Awesome. And so the community are always eager to predict the future. So where do you think blockchain forensics is headed?
Well, it is sort of a pick and the shovel in the industry. I mean, it's a necessity in a bunch of different verticals, as I've mentioned, and really, I think for this industry to grow, education needs to happen, and that'll happen by way of government adopting policies that allow countries to sort of interact or embrace what crypto is doing. I mean, you can't shut it off. You can't turn off the internet. So we all know it's here to stay, and so forensics will continue to play an integral role in ensuring that further adoption and growth of it will take place.
Okay, yeah, and one last question, if I may, Lance. So, what is your vision for the future then of this whole industry? Maybe blockchain forensics aside, how do you see the whole industry growing from the point at which it's at today?
Well, I think we're kind of at this precipice of where people are really actually starting to see how blockchain is going to impact everything in our lives and make things more efficient, more accountability, less fraud. And I think on the crypto side, I mean, obviously Bitcoin was a great example of what blockchain has and its transformation and how it's disrupting all ways of supply chain management, healthcare, all these kinds of things. And on the crypto side, I think that, in the next 5 years, we'll see 10 strong leaders in the crypto space, from Bitcoin, Ethereum, Stellar, Rootstock and RSK and the Rift token and these kinds of things, and the Lightning Network that's sort of a layer on top, and the Omni layer. But I think in 10 years, we'll see that there will be maybe only 5 real strong players. And I think we'll see, there's over 278,000 tokens out there. There's 2,000 different types of cryptos from my last count, and that's probably low now. But at the end of the day, I think that we'll see really only the ones that truly have overcome some of the technical bounds that some of the other cryptocurrencies face. And the Bitcoin itself will sort of be the gold standard. You still you can find certain people that don't understand that there's a difference between blockchain and cryptocurrency. And so, we're still sort of at that educational state for certain individuals, but a lot of people now have that understanding to be able to define the differences. And I think that people are really going to take advantage of what it offers, from digitizing assets, from real estate and land holdings and land registries and these kinds of things. So it's going to be really exciting to see how it really starts to prove out how this technology can be utilized. And we're past the crypto winter, thankfully, by the looks of it. And our future is very exciting on a number of fronts, and I'm thrilled to be a part of it and help shape this new financial ecosystem.
Awesome. Well, there you have it, folks. Time will only tell, but there's lots to be hopeful about. Great. So if you enjoyed hearing this short conversation with Lance, feel free to check out more on our website, cryptovalley.swiss. We host plenty of events, educational content, and even provide you with information on how you can join our growing community. So great. Well, thank you once again, Lance, for discussing with us here today. And stay tuned, stay safe, and until next time from the Crypto Valley in Switzerland.
Thank you, Sheraz. Thanks for your time. Thanks everyone for listening.